Let's dive into the world of tabletop gaming and painting with the Tippy cast. From rolling dice to mastering brushstrokes, we're here to fuel your passion. Join us for insights, inspiration, and endless creativity. I'm Chris.
And I'm Daz. So, Chris, what's on the table?
Well, I've been working on a secret project quite diligently, and I've ended up putting 5 videos together. So, for someone who hasn't put a video out for quite a while, um, I had to make 5 in short succession. Got that done, and that's for the TT combat, TT combat thing. And I've cleared it with Owen that I can mention some things for it. And it's the new cat team that's been announced and is up for pre-order currently. Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it because I want the TT community to get the first look at stuff. But I've made 5 videos. I've also been working on the stands. The bleachers kit for the stadium. At the minute, I am soldering some lights up, and hopefully have that done tomorrow. I need to get some things printed off of the Tippy Club logo to go on the front of the barriers, and then that'll be that done.
Nice.
What about yourself?
Well, I've finished my La Gracia Industrial Works Carnival gang. What else have I been doing? I finished my dragon. That's been sat on my table for 2 years. Yeah, just sort of like finishing bits off. I cleaned up a couple of Rumbleslam teams. I've cleaned up the Brawl Marillion and the Ospiedale appointment Rumbleslam teams, getting them ready for assembly and then priming. Yeah, just and then I think I've got a couple of superstars that I'm gonna do along with that. Gonna get that the Dios Dorado or Dudorado and El Pollo Fantastico. I'm gonna get done with that. Oh, and I've got the what's her name? The plague mission. You know the one, the Rhea Ripley plague doctress.
Yeah, it's just plague.
Plague, yeah, that's with so that superstar that comes with the Ospiedale appointment. I'm going to get all them sort of cleaned up, ready for assembly and priming, to get them good to go. Yeah, and just generally finishing up. So finish things up. Did the bases of them, and yeah, just now prepping for the next load. But yeah, not a lot going on. I mean, I appreciate we've not been on the airwaves. Yeah, it's just illness, schedulings. Obviously, this is a hobby for me and Chris. We don't get paid any money for this yet. Just throw that out there.
Yeah, just in case anyone wants to slap some money our way.
I want to see if you want to send us some money. Or free stuff. We'll take free stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a lot of it's that time of the year where illness and everything is just rife. But yeah, that's what I've got on the table. Nothing more exciting than that. Just getting the Christmas stuff ready.
Well, I got asked a question, keeping it with Christmas stuff. What if Rumbleslam had a Christmas theme?
That is a very interesting question.
I know this is a subject that you've thought of previously. I've had to think about it as well. So we've now got 2 teams to pitch. So you've went with like the face side of things.
Yeah. So I think if we're going to keep this in the spirit of Christmas, I think you would do it as a naughty and nice list team.
Yeah, I've created a heel team.
So are we just using Rumbleslam characters or actual wrestlers?
There Rumbleslam. I've created mine as it's it's all in
Oh,
Rumbleslam
okay, cool.
stuff, like completely new characters and things like that.
Oh, okay. So I mean, obviously on the on the nice list, your weight three is definitely going to be Santa, right?
Mhm.
Or now, traditional Santa would be big jolly fat man, ho ho ho, everything like that. However, if you want to go down like a more jacked Santa, he could probably get away with being a weight two. So I think for
It
this,
depends on how jacked he is.
I'm thinking, he's got 364 days a year to work out. You know, he's only working one night a year. Um, so I would probably do it as I'd have a weight three, like giant autonomous snowman, right?
Mhm.
Not an evil looking snowman, but here's the kicker: it's not an actual snowman. Think of it more like an animatronic that a small elf is driving.
Right.
So it's like a giant like snowman suit that an
Mhm.
elf's driving, because I think that'd be hilarious. Um, Santa, like jacked Santa. Now I don't know if any of you saw if you've seen Robot Chicken when they did the one where Santa goes into the Coca-Cola Corporation.
No.
So there's a scene in the Robot Chicken where Santa goes in and like takes off his like outer jacket and he's just got like a vest on and like braces, and then he just goes to town on these Coca-Cola executives. I would have like a Santa like that where he's like the whole fat thing's just like a facade, but in actual fact he's like super ripped. Rise of the Guardians sort of like jacked Santa like.
Mm. Uh,
Um,
big show in Jingle All the Way.
yeah, just sort of like really muscly guy. Um, and like things like the Santa's Slayer, toward like the Silent Night, or like just things like anything like sort of festive. As a move, I think like the candy cane candy cane drop, or the Jingle Bell Jingle Bell Rock. Anything like that. Like you could have so much fun with it, like just being Santa, being a weight too, and obviously, regardless of everything else that's there, he is like the focal point of that team. So I'm talking like, because normally, as you know, it's when you have weight twos, they're either like a grappler or they're a brawler. But I
Mhm.
think this weight two would just be like a solid both. Like he will just be everything you want him to be. Like you want him to be
Mhm.
a good grappler, he's a good grappler. Almost like a weight three, but in like a weight two's body, but with just like a bit more movement.
Mhm.
Um, and I think an big autonomous snowman, or an actual snowman like that's been brought to life to fight.
Mhm.
I'm thinking it's big enough that it's like tree trunks for arms.
See, that's interesting because I've also got a snowman in my team.
Or do you go get a festive tree man, and it's a pine tree,
Mhm.
and like it's got like a bauble flail or something, and it's got like a bit like a bauble on the end of a bit of tinsel as like a flail.
Mhm. That would
That
be
would
cool.
work. Yeah. Um, and then he's got to have a reindeer. And of all the reindeer, which one are you going to have? You're going to have the one called Blitzen, because that name sounds dangerous. Sod off Rudolph. You're not having Rudolph.
So not Prancer.
No, you don't want Prancer, Cupid, Comet, Vix. No, the one you want is the one that's got Blitz in the name. Right? And Blitzen works out more than the other reindeer does. Like he's got something to prove. Right? Now Blitzen, obviously he's a reindeer, he can fly because he's magic. I would either imagine him as like a high flyer from the turnbuckle, or a real good rope expert that he just flies across the ring like fucking antlers down.
Like a Rudolph Ziegler.
Yeah, I wanted to avoid that. I wanted to avoid that joke. But I mean, Rudolph's the most recognisable. And by the way, like I will say this in in Blitzen's defence, Rudolph only works when it's foggy. Like he doesn't even work every year. The other reindeer they get knocked off, and everyone's like, oh, and Blitzen's probably like, oh, I don't get a song about me, and it's just like, well, no. And I think the way you would do it is like he just like always has something to prove. You know, like that's why he's just like, no, I can't let Rudolph win. And then your weight ones, it's just going to be like little toy shop elves, isn't it? Like I envision like the grappler almost being like a wrapping room elf, and he just like ties people up in ribbons. He's got like one of those like tape like dispenser handles.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got like one of them, or like he's packing ribbons, and he'll just like tie people up. And the other elf, like he'd just be like a bit of a brawler elf. You know, like like a loading bay elf. He's quite tough. Like he's strong amongst elves, but he's still not as strong as Santa.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably like what I would say like is to be the nice list team of a Christmas Rumbleslam team. However, if I was to go like existing characters into like a nice team, you know, you'd have all the big name faces, wouldn't you? You'd have the Statesman. He's up there. I think for the weight 3, Ice, because he's not a heel and very thematic. He's a giant living ice sculpture.
Mm-hmm.
Green Gables is another one. You know, because she's a healer. You want to be sort of filling it out with like predominantly good people. You know, the fabulous Etok, like a really humble team. You know, but no, I think thematically, no, I would have a Santa, a snowman, a reindeer, 2 elves. I think that'd be the best. I mean, that'd be classic for me. So who would you have on the naughty list?
For the naughty list, I've got the Green Meanie. He's a weight 2 styled after the Grinch. He's got a crowd pleaser called Heart Shrinker. A wrestler in base contact receives a crowd pleaser token as if they had already triggered it.
Yep.
Abominable Bruiser. He's a weight 2 brawler, a villainous snowman. And I was thinking the cover of the Jack Frost horror film.
Yep.
Where it's got like the green eyes and the sharp teeth. He's got a grapple ability called the Jack Frost Power Bomb, like the jackknife power bomb. It's got the knockdown keyword, and crowd pleaser is Frosty Smackdown. Target wrestler within 3 squares is hit with a Jack Frost Power Bomb with +2 damage and -1 AP counter.
Nice.
Mother Mistletoe is a weight 1 high flyer. It's a halfling who loves hanging in the air. A turnbuckle ability called the Mistletoe Dropkick. And that also has the knockdown keyword, because there's nothing worse than the knockdown keyword, so that's heavy in this. The crowd pleaser is the Kiss of Deceit. A wrestler in base contact gains a bleeding counter. Because obviously it's not really a poisoning feature in
No.
in Rumbleslam outside of, I think, one of the rats that can poison.
I think so, yeah.
So bleeding's just what I mean. Mistletoe's usually there with some holly as well. So the other weight 1 is the health. He's in tattered elf attire. He's a one for like your control style play.
Yep.
Where his crowd pleaser is Gift of Destruction. The health opens up a gift box that explodes into glitter and chaos. All other wrestlers, friend and foe, within 3 squares must pass a dexterity test 3 up, or receive a knockdown counter. So he's a bit of chaos started into there.
That sounds pretty cool.
And then the weight 3 is the List Keeper. He's a Krampus inspired by Chris Jericho. So it's got the jacket and it's got Christmas lights on the back. He's got a horned goat head and he's got some spiked hair. So I'm thinking like classic Y2J, Chris Jericho style. And he's carrying a scroll, which is the naughty list. He's got a rope ability called Weihnachten. I haven't quite thought what that could be, but it's in German, so it's fine. And then the crowd pleaser, you just made the list. Target an enemy wrestler. They have their name added to the naughty list. The list keeper gains +1 to attack and grapple against wrestlers on the list. Multiple wrestlers can be on that list, but only once.
I mean, with their rope ability, so in it, like Krampus, like normally stuffs people in a sack.
Yeah, so give them like lifted keyword and stuff.
Yeah. Because he's put them in a sack.
And then I thought as well, because I was like, I mean, naughty and nice, that's a tag team right there.
Yeah.
So it's a face and heel duo with an ability similar to bait and switch.
Yeah.
Where when one is attacked, you may make a 0 AP tag out action, and it's called Gonna Find Out. That's how I thought that. I didn't think of turning current wrestlers into a heel team.
But no, I think no. If you were to do like a naughty and nice one, you'd 100% do like Krampus and Santa, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Like they could be in their own teams. Like you'd have the naughty list and the nice list, and then you have one of them each, the naughty and nice. And then I think what would happen is, if they were on the naughty list, when Santa comes in, you could have his rule being and checking it twice. So like he would roll to see. You'd have to roll to see if like you're still on that list, or unless Santa's taken you off it. But I think if you do a dirty move or to Santa or like around him, he can then say like that you're going on the list. Mm-hmm. So then
you just made the list.
You just made the list. But I think I just come up with this one in my head. It was like the Saint Nick knee drop. Yeah, and I think a knockdown from Santa, something like and to all a good night. Mm-hmm. Just sort of like almost like a finishing move. Because you know how you got some wrestling moves that like go directly into a pin.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that in Rumbleslam. There's a rule that allows you to like automatically pin them. And I think that would be an interesting rule to bring in for one or two wrestlers to have that
bridge and pin.
Yeah, so like it would be like it could just have like special rule pin. So if it goes off, you could attempt the pin straight away. Like as a free so you would instead of the attacks like, I don't know, 2-3 AP. Mm-hmm. You do the attack and then you can attempt to pin straight away. With the same rules, like obviously, but
Tyler Black, Seth Rollins when he was Indies, he had a move called the Northern Lights Suplex. I mean, that's nice. A perfect name right there, which would it would bridge into a pin as well, and that just looks insane. I've tried doing like when I'm at the gym, one of my like stretches is basically doing like a bridged pin, and it is such a horrible position to be in. Yeah. I've got no idea how anyone manages to do it.
But I just think if you're going to do like a naughty and nice one, I think you put Santa and Krampus together, and I think the whole naughty nice list is something you'd probably have to like really focus on. You could even do the opposite with Santa, that he can put his own team on the nice list, so they would get buffs. Mm-hmm. But obviously, like if they do like a dirty action and fail a dirty action, then he's like, no, you're not on the nice list anymore. But yeah, I just like the idea of. I mean, like either that. I mean, you could even go even further to that. You could just literally have like the whole reindeer team of like Santa's reindeer on just one team. Because that's the only way you would introduce it. It'd be like, on Dancer, on Prancer, on Vixen, on Comet.
Just a full squad of them.
And they all just tag out. Or no, you could probably do that. You could just have like a reindeer, and then like you get to pick which reindeer it is. And like each of them will have like different stats and different. You'd have like 8 or 9 cards for one character.
Like what Granite's got, where he can do face and heel turns.
Yeah, you just have bring on
just
different.
Yeah, there's just a whole different list of different buffs.
For different reindeers. Yeah.
Each time he activates, you choose which reindeer's coming. They just share a health pool.
Yeah, on Comet, on Blitzer, on Dancer, on Prancer. But oh no, that was it. I came up with the grapple move ages ago, and it was called the Ho 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 No You Don't. And like the idea is like they try and run away, and be like, nope.
The grapple move with range.
Yeah, it's like no, you don't. But yeah, it's very funny. I mean, obviously, I mean, look, if you love Christmas, I mean, if they did bring out a seasonal team, it would be very much a.
Just thought of what I would call the heel team as well. It's a throwback to ECW. December to Dismember.
Nice.
Worst pay-per-view in history.
But no, I think. Oh no, if you had Santa and just a reindeer, you could just call him Santa's Paindeer, right? But no, it's just it'd be one of those teams that it'd be like you would really only use it like that time if you were playing games regularly enough that you'd use it that time of the year. However, if it's one of those things where it's like if they brought out like seasonal ones throughout the year. I mean, to be fair, the Halloween one, there's like the Rolling Bones is already a Halloween themed casino.
Yeah.
You've already got like a jack-o'-lantern, you've already got zombies, mummies, werewolves, you got Frankensteins or Frankenstein. And it's like that's already the Halloween stuff is like already really firmly in there.
Yeah. And it's like it's built into wrestling in general. Wrestling and horror goes hand in hand really well.
And I mean, the only other sort of seasons that you'd have would be like what, spring, then summer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and in the summer there isn't really, other than it just being the summer.
Everyone's wearing shorts. Well, they're doing that anyway on this wrestling.
Either that you make them all like surf dudes. But no, I just, because do you know what? I have this picture in my mind of what the ring would look like in like Santa's village.
Mm-hmm.
Like
turnbuckles is like stacks of presents.
No.
Tinsel
so
like, for
right.
Raw.
So yeah, so the base of the ring looks like a gingerbread house, obviously. Like, and it's got like it looks like it's got the icing, like looks like the mat's made of icing, and like the lines going around it are all like gumdrops and stuff, like a gingerbread house, but it's like a ring. Yeah, tinsel ropes. And the turnbuckles, I imagine them like candy canes with like a platform on the top.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be very, very funny. Or you have it, like either stacks of present, like a present on top of a candy cane. But I don't know if you can make a candy cane load bearing. I don't know.
That's why I was thinking just stacks of presents.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think it would be really, really funny. Or should Santa get an attack where he can attack me with his sack? Right, just boff.
Okay, I thought you were going in a different direction with that.
Keep
I was like, that's not very Christmassy.
Keep it PC, mate. But then if you went right down the Fat Santa route, like the Jolly Fat Man Santa route, You could just make it real, because obviously they say his belly jiggles like a bowl full of jelly.
Mhm.
Like you could have it that if you went to brawl him, there's a chance that it could come back because it'd be like, "Rah."
All of his he's got a passive ability where if he does a rope attack,
Yeah,
it gains like knockback 2 or 3 or something like that.
Boom.
Just hits him with the stomach and that's it. Gets a bonus to pinning because he's like just a big fat bugger.
The jolly fat man. But yeah, but it's a gingerbread man sits inside a gingerbread house. Is he made of the house, or is the house made of him? He screams, for he does not know.
He's made of house.
Or is the house?
He's a house. He's a house man.
Or is this like the house made of his skin?
He's made of house.
Either way, mate, it's a horrific thought.
He is sentient house.
He is. But no, I mean, like you could have a gingerbread man in it, like if just like the whole "not my gumdrop buttons." Oh my gumdrop buttons. Have you seen that scene in Spanish? Like, honestly, go watch it in Spanish, and you will never laugh so hard in your life. Because, like, obviously, he does it's a full scene. Like, obviously, the whole film's in Spanish, but that one scene when he's like going, run as fast as you can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man. And his wife is like, you monster. But they still have the accent, but it's doing it in Spanish. And he goes, El monstro! It's just so funny. Yeah, and it is exactly that. And he goes, El monstro, monstro. And it's just sort of like, it's to someone who doesn't speak Spanish, like I'll just pick out words. And it does, for someone who doesn't understand or speak Spanish, it does sound like that fast show. And he goes, Chris Waddle. It's just like that.
Right, canny like?
Yeah, exactly. That's right, canny like. It was a right man. Oh, that's going back a bit. We're showing our age a bit there, Chris.
Going back and going off topic.
And going off topic, but segueing back in and keeping with the Christmas theme. I think it's also a good time to mention is just sort of like, have you got a painter or hobbyist in your life that you feel like you want to get them a present, but not something like tat? You want to get them something meaningful, or you want to get them something that maybe might help with their hobby or and link with it. And I think between me and Chris, we're going to fire off a couple of good ideas that a painter or hobbyist might not necessarily buy for themselves, but if someone was to gift them, it would be a very useful gift and a very good idea.
I think top of anyone's list should be a set of Tippy Club D6.
I think as well, Chris. That is what every single hobbyist out there is. That is the top of the Christmas list of every single hobbyist out there of a Tippy Club official D6 set.
They've never seen me wrong.
And if I'm not mistaken, Chris, those dice never roll ones.
I mean, when I've used them in Dungeons and Dragons, they definitely roll ones, but not in anything else.
We cannot confirm that these dice will never roll ones. This is just merely a very, very harsh advertising technique. Dice rolls may vary. But and also some other. You've got mugs as well, haven't you?
Yes, travel mugs and like your normal everyday mug.
There you go, some Tippy Club merch. That's all you need for Christmas. All you want for Christmas is that Tippy Club mug. But I think a gift that I was given for my painting, and again, it was like a bit of a purchase that I never thought about buying myself. That it was bought for me, and now I can't really sort of live without it. Was my wet palette. Because I was never that fussed before. Like, I'd heard mixed reviews about them, and I was like,
You're getting your water quantity right on it is key.
You know,
Once you've got that down, they're amazing.
you know, someone was saying like, you know, some people swear by them, some people are against them, and I kind of like, well, this was at a point in my life where I didn't have sort of like that sort of level of disposable income for my hobby. You know, I was able to buy like minis and stuff, and I had paint and stuff, but like those sort of little like bougie purchases, I wasn't sort of able to get. Because obviously financially I weighed it up and I go, well, I could either pay X amount for this and not have that, or I could just have that, and like that's not fundamental to what I'm doing. But I got given it for my birthday by my dad, because he heard me talking about it and he was obviously like, all right, well, I'll just get him one. And it's the Army Painter wet palette. It's about yay big. I'm saying yay big, like
Audio listeners, in fact,
Audio
any
listeners.
listener, because we don't have a video version of this. YouTube one's just
let's say
a picture
it's
you can
about,
have to sleep to.
I think it's a 4x6, like 4 inch by 6 inch. And it's got like a secondary tray above that where you can like keep brushes. Then it's got a lid, elastic sort of thing to keep it all together. I have that many brushes that I just don't store them in there. I'm not planning on taking my wet palette anywhere. It lives on my desk. The hydro pad and the papers that come with it, they're not that expensive to replace. And the hydro pad you only really need to replace probably like once, twice a year. Or unless you like get paint on it, then you've got to change it because it starts getting all crusty and mouldy.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it wasn't initially something that I was going to buy for myself, but I'm really grateful that someone bought it for me. So I think anyone out there, if you have someone who's getting into painting or has been painting for a while and they haven't got a wet palette, and you're kind of stuck for an idea of what to get them for Christmas, a wet palette I think is a safe option.
Yeah, I've got a couple of wet palettes that I use. Got a red grass one my brother bought us, and I have a scale color artist one because I bought a big set of all of their scale color artist paints, and it comes with the wet palette, the like the absorbent foam thing, whatever it is, and a lot of the hydration sheets. Like with that one, yeah, you open it up and it's got a dry palette on there as well, and like that's probably the main one I use, just because that dry palette, it gives me plenty of room for like using my metallics. There's like you'll see it on the super secret project. There's like kind of little angled slots in it, which are really good for your washes, and like you can like draw them up onto it to kind of get an idea how thin it is, because it's going to start running back down into the main lot. And I think that's a really good one. So dry and wet palette, they're a great combination to have.
Yeah, and as I said, initially it's one of those things where it's like I never really thought about getting it for myself, but now that someone bought it for me, I'm actually really grateful for having it. And it's gotten to the point now where I'm at a position where I will probably upgrade my wet palette to a point, and I'll probably get like a bigger one, or one like yours, Chris, where it's got that sort of dry palette and wet palette. Because obviously, with obviously when I do washes, and I'm not great at painting. Like me and Chris comparatively as painters, Chris is far superior to me in painting. He just has more time to. He's been doing it longer than I have. But even Chris will admit there's certain things that I do that I'm just weirdly very good at, like very particular aspects of painting. Like I'm very good at color blending and like color shifts. and denim is a weird flex that I have with painting. So any chance I can put denim on something, it's getting denim because I'm really good at it. But and it's just, but I'm saying I find I'm at a position now where I feel like I need more space on my palette. You know, I'm experimenting more with like mixing colors and making my own shades in the shades that don't exist yet. Um, but yeah, it feels like a bougie purchase, but when you actually get down to it and you start using it, you're like, it actually does. And I'm not saying this to sort of be like saying if you get a wet palette, you'll become a better painter. But I feel when you have that sort of when you have that sort of stuff, I think it gives you the confidence to paint more. And if anything, it gives you gives you the level of confidence to be a better painter.
Yeah. And it opens things up for doing like wet blending and stuff because you can do it there on the palette. Keep mixing it until you get it like how you want it to be, and then you just take it straight off the palette onto there. Like the wet palette keeps your paint mix like good to use for quite a while.
And it's easy enough to reactivate even if you've not used it for like a day or so. It's just a little bit of water, boom, done, and you're back into it, back in the game.
Yeah, I've reactivated paint so much on on the wet palettes to the point where it's basically a glaze. It's always good fun. I love glazing. My my first one, other than the dice, is the Masterson's Rinse Well water pot. Green Stuff will do a nice one. It's a bit smaller if like space on your painting desk's a bit of a premium.
Is that one that it's like you've got like a reservoir on the top, and then like
That's the one, yeah.
it's got a little pool, and then you clean your brush, and then you push a button, and then it dumps it.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that look. Oh, I love those. It's again, I'd love one, but it's just I feel like it's just such a bougie purchase.
Like I used to be terrible for like your water pots. I always have two, one for metallics, one for normal, and I was terrible for leaving that water to just become like just a grey mess. With this one, it's just as soon as the colours like taken over the water, just dump the water. Like the gravity feed releases water into it, and then once it hits that point, it stops putting water through because of how like whatever reaction it is. It's just like it knows when to cut off the water, and it's just nice clean water. Worst, I've had to like fill it up, dump it again just to get any like remnants of any like paint that's kind of settled to the bottom. But I mean, it's got a ribbed bit of like inside where the water's collecting, so you can clean your brush on that. Then you've got some like brush holders on the side of it, and that the Masterson's one is really good. I really recommend that. I bought my brother a Green Stuff World one. What was it? I think it was for last Christmas, and he's ended up buying another like pot, water pot, because it's like the smaller one that Green Stuff World do. So he's bought a bigger one again. And it's like, these are awesome to have. Like you said, it's a bit of a bougie purchase, but it's, I mean, I couldn't go back to painting without one, really.
I mean, that's where I'm at with like the wet palette. I can't go back to not having it now. And I might. So obviously, the way Christmas works with my family, because my sister's got 4 kids, I've got 2. That's a lot of kids to buy Christmas presents for. And obviously, my sister's married, got mum, dad, we've got a family friend, and that's a lot of people to buy presents for. So what we do with our family is we do like a secret Santa for the adults. So you only have to buy presents for one adult. So I might just sort of be like, I might drop like the casual hints. Like I might like I don't know like oh like I might drop like a leaflet of like the water pot thing. Goes oh no, look what happened there.
Oh no, where did this come from?
Where did this come from? But I've seen those and they do look. And do you know what? One of my mates has got one and it is so cool. Like the problem is, I think for the first, if I was to ever get one, I think for like the first hour, I would just be like poking it and then watching it fill up, and then like I just dump it and just watch it refill for like an hour.
Just the gimmick. But like I said, the Masterson's one, the one I have, it takes up a decent bit of real estate on the painting table.
Mm.
So if like space is a bit of a premium, the Green Stuff World one is good. It's just like a smaller area, like a smaller pool area, and yeah, just I'd say just get whatever size you can get.
It's not the size that counts. It's how you use it.
It's how much it cleans your brush.
So I think so for me, my other so I've got about 2 or 3 more things that I want to sort of mention.
Yeah.
Now, I hate shaking paints, not because I just don't want to do it. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't. Especially if it's a paint you've not used for a while, and then you have to shake it more than normal, and then it's like, oh, it's an absolute ache. So, this is a purchase I bought for myself out of laziness, but it's also again a perfect item for a painter in your life who you want to buy a gift for. Paint shakers. There's a couple. They very much range in price. You can get ones that like start at like £5-6, right up to like £30-40. But the bottom end stuff, you know, I've got what's it called? So basically, it's called a Joy Star tool. It's a paint shaker, but it was meant to be for like nail varnish.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll sort of show you what it looks like. I'll describe it as well, don't worry. So it's like a small black box. It's got like a little cradle in it there, where you would pop your paint. I wouldn't recommend putting Citadel paints in it because it very much feels like the lid will fly off. So you put that in there, and then you got like a couple of little elastic straps. Goes over like that, so secures said paint in. And I'm not going to turn it on because it's very loud. But that's what you get for like £8, and then it just shakes it to shake the paint. And what would normally take you about a minute or two shaking a bottle of paint just to get it, you know, because we all know the pain of when like you can see the paint's kind of separated a little bit,
Yeah.
and you get that really horrible watery stuff on the top. It will get rid of that in like seconds. That's more like your £8 one. That's got like an on and off switch. But the more expensive ones that you get, like you're looking at now, you're getting into like the £30-45 mark. I think top end for like miniature paint shakers, you're looking at about £50.
Mm-hmm.
You can get these things that are like vortex mixers, and they kind of look like little UFOs with like a pressure plate on the top. Have you seen these, Chris?
Yeah.
And then what you do?
I've got.
Yeah. So Chris will be able to
My
explain
brother
this.
bought us one.
That all you have to do is like apply a little bit of pressure while holding the paint that you're holding, and it will just shake it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very like, you know, not having to turn it on off. It's just on, and then it goes. You put your paint in, it goes, boo. And from my understanding, they're not particularly loud either.
No, the one I've got, I think my airbrush like spray booth is louder than that, and the spray booth isn't really that loud either. The one I have, it's small. It looks kind of like a barnacle,
Yeah.
like a rubber top on it. And yeah, you put the paint on there, press it down, and then it starts shaking away. And Yeah, it's got like little sucker feet on it that kind of keep it from just vibrating across the desk. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's that loud.
I mean, I'm going to do this very quickly. It's going to go on and off. This is how loud mine is. Like that. Yeah, that was only like for a second. That's how loud that is. But again, that's what you get for like £8. Like that's an £8 paint mixer. Obviously, the more you pay, the better you're going to get. And it's still going to do the same job, but what really find is going to happen is it will just be quieter and it's just more well built. Like I reckon that is going to explode. Give it a few months, it'll explode. Like, but then that's £8. You know, I'm not. But if you are going to get into the old paint shakers, I do recommend getting agitators, like little glass ball agitators, to put in your paints. Well, it's going to make that process a lot quicker. So that's my second bougie purchase. That's one I did by myself because it was only £8.
A nice large cutting mat.
Yes.
It comes in handy, obviously, when you're cutting things, but I have one on my desk all the time when I'm painting as well. It just kind of keeps the desk clean. I use a TT Combat one.
As do I.
It's got different base sizes on it, which is always handy for like different games. Obviously, things like Warhammer, different characters and things on different size bases. You can get an idea of things like flocking and stuff like that. And if you buy like a third party base, and like with me, a load of bases, I've got them in a box. Doesn't matter what sizes they are. I put them on there, done straight away. They're little magnet, little stick-on magnet sheets. I use them on particularly on my Fallout models. I can just, knowing what size they are, the bases are for that, I can just take some of the sticker ones off, put them against that. I know which one I'm using. It just comes in handy for different things. So that's on one side, and that's got your measurements in centimeters. On the other side, you've got it in inches, and there's also an angle, like a protractor.
Yeah, so there's
Yes.
Let me have a look because I'm gonna lift my laptop because I've got it here. Yeah, so there's a protractor on there as well. That's got 15 degrees, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, 120, 135, 150, 165. So that's all the angles that it presents on one side. I don't know what it says on the other side. I'm not flipping my mat over because I have mine on the inches side.
Yeah, I mostly have mine on the centimeters and the base size.
Yeah.
When I'm recording a video, I'll flip it over onto the angle and inches one just because it's cleaner.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make me look like a messy slob, which I am. And it's a self-healing mat as well. So if when you're busy preparing your models and stuff like that, your knife goes into it, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, so the reason I tend to have the inches side out is because of the protractor. Because when I like cut and modify like MDF stuff, I've got like a little saw. I'll show you. Got a little saw kit.
Smart, okay. That should be one of your gift ideas.
Yeah, well, mate, I've got this box which is a saw, like little saw blades. So in there you've got wood saws and metal saws. I've got another little file set and my drill set. So the cool thing about my drill set is it's got left and right threaded drills. So if you are left-handed, you can go the other way, which is quite nice.
If you're wrong and are left-handed,
But no, I get what you mean, because I've accidentally sawed into the mat after going through some MDF, and yeah, it's super tough. It's sort of self healing, and they're really hard wearing. And you know what? Not a bad price. I think they're only about £5.
I think something about that, yeah.
And it's a big old mat. It's I'd say about 18, 17, 18 inches wide, and about 12 tall, about a foot tall. Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Just bringing it up here on the website. A3 size, 3mm thick, and it's £8.
Oh, okay, it's £5 at the shows.
Yeah, the base sizes you get 20, 25, 28, 30, 32, 35, 38, 40, 48, 50, and 60. And there is an angle guideline on that side as well, but it's just for 90, like up to 90 degrees.
Yeah, it's because I tend to build things out of the scrap MDF that I have from like sprues. So I need. It's almost like I'm doing mini carpentry. It's quite funny to watch. But
Nah, it's a nice cotton mat.
And again, it's not massively pricey. Again, like,
And it's something I use every time I'm painting because it's just sat on my desk.
especially if you've got if the painter in your life or the hobbyist in your life doesn't have like a permanent setup, like potentially like myself and Chris do. And if they're painting on the dining room table, you want to put something down that's going to protect your furniture table. It's a great little thing. And it's not massive, but it's big enough. It's got a big enough workspace that it doesn't feel like you're quite compact.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just again like I did have a smaller one. Like I had one that was about half the size, and it was just as soon as I had an option, as soon as TT Combat brought those mats out, and I went to an event and I saw it, and I was like, well, I'm taking one of them home. I'm leaving with something.
Yeah, I've got one of the old GW like paint stations, and if I'm feeling very lazy and I'm just going to sit on the bed and like put some models together, so watching the telly, I'll have that on because it's kind of there's some little like cut out grooves. Basically, it sits on your lap if you've not got it on the desk. Which I think is a pretty cool thing. And there's a cutting mat which is shaped for that, like for going into there because you've got two bits for your pots and all that. And so I've got that one, but that one's if you are just going to use the cutting mat on the desk, it's too small for that. But if you are using it on this paint station, it's like it's made for sitting on that. It's the perfect size because everything is contained on that. Whereas on my desk, I've got a fair bit more room. I have a bit more stuff and kind of keep everything tidy and just kind of out to the sides. So every tool's got a purpose. So,
and that's the thing, innit? And again, I think once you have things like that, it then opens doors to like doing more of the hobby. Like as I said about the wet palette, I found that my color shifting stuff was going better because I had the wet palette there, and I was able to mix on the palette and go straight from the palette rather than having to do it another way. And it opened that door. And I think when you have like place things like a workstation, it opens the door to future things. With that angle cutter there on the mat, I've found that like me modifying or making my own MDF stuff with it is just above and beyond now. You know,
definitely.
and it's weird how little things like that just open doors. Now, another bougie purchase that I did buy for myself, and it, again, comes out of laziness. Like a lot of my bougie purchases are out of laziness. I'm gonna have to move some things because it's kind of buried. So I am a rattle can primer. Little secret into my life there. I spray prime things. I don't. My dad's a bit more of a purist. He's a brush primer, but each to their own. I haven't got the time.
I've not done that in years.
No, I use Admiralty Grey from TT Combat. We are genuinely not sponsored by them. It's just we really like their stuff.
Yeah, we use their stuff I've written.
So I've got this. Right?
Oh, I've got that.
Yeah.
I think I've got the exact same one.
Yeah, probably.
Was it from Amazon?
Yeah.
For like
So basically,
£3.
oh yeah, it was about that one. So basically, you can't see what I'm holding up, but Chris can see what I'm holding up. I spray prime things, and especially when you paint a lot of Rumbleslam, they have clear bases. When I'm painting Carnival, Bolt Action, things that are like on bases that I'm going to paint, or I'm going to base the base. Is that the right way? Base the base. I'm not so bothered about paint getting on the base, so I'll prime them on the base. This handy dandy doodad that I'm holding is, for lack of a better word, it is a clamp hedgehog.
Yeah, it's a crocodile clip.
So it's a crocodile clip on a stick, and then the base has got lots of holes in it where you can put these clamps, and you can put them in different sort of orientations. And I tend to use this when I'm priming my Rumbleslam figures because I don't want them on the base. Because the base is clear and I want to keep the base as far away from the painting process as I can until...
What I like with those clips as well is they've got like the rubber tips on them to stop the teeth from biting into the resin and plastic.
And it grips it really well.
And yeah, really good grip. Because I've got some of them, and I bought a Lazy Susan that came with some clips. It didn't say that the clips came with it, so that's why I bought like something that like what you've got there.
Yeah.
And the clips they'll fit in the Lazy Susan as well. And in fact, those ones are a little bit longer than the ones that came with the Lazy Susan.
And yeah, I mean, for me, that's because what I used to do historically before this with Rumbleslam figures is, now this is some real ghetto hack. I used to keep like polystyrene boxes. You know, like you get like the polystyrene sort of like box things that you would get when you get like vases or like small electrical items. I would use those, and then I would poke the feet. I would cut scores into it with my X-Acto knife, and then I would put the pegs that the Rumbleslam characters come in into that little hole. And that's fine until you keep taking them in and out of this to keep painting different layers on, and then the hole starts getting worn out, and then you have to move them along and then eventually the polystyrene just gets wrecked, and especially if you've been using it to prime, because then it goes super hard because the paint's set on top of it. But yeah, so that's kind of been invaluable, and also as well, it's nice because now I can just sort of paint them while hold. So essentially, what I'll do is I'll hold the whole peg, and then just paint them with the peg. And that almost then gives me, because then I can sort of do things like that, or I have more control over what angle it's on.
Yeah, so use that as like a paint, like a model holder.
Yeah, so because obviously it's more because I have this issue sometimes where I get like cramps in my hands, Probably because I don't hydrate, but I'm probably going to go with because I'm old and I've punished my body out playing sport for a long period of my life. Um,
I don't
if
have
I've
that excuse. Not the
yeah,
sport, anyway.
but it's so that way I feel like so that way I'm not handling the miniature.
Hmm.
And because I always worry, especially if you've just primed it and you want to move it and you're like, and I've got to wait until it dries because you don't want a fingerprint mark in it.
Yeah.
Again, that was only about like a couple of quid, and again, it's kind of like a purchase that not many people really think about, and I feel that's very specific. Like I feel like it's a very specific tool I have for one specific kind of images that I paint.
Hmm.
But I'm sure there's other people who don't want to who want to do paint it separately from a base. Yeah, great. Or maybe you're spray priming like Airfix, or maybe you're spraying pieces of MDF scenery. It's quite nice to have if you're going to do it in like separate parts. It's probably quite nice to have that so you can move it around.
Hmm.
Again, it's just a bougie purchase. I feel.
Yeah, it's good for like your sub assembly
Hmm.
bits as well, isn't it?
And it's just one of those things that if you're kind of struggling and they don't have one and they spray prime, yeah, like you'd be surprised how grateful they would be for something like that because they might not have either thought about it themselves. And I fall victim to this where someone will get me something that I didn't think I wanted or didn't think I needed, and then they'll be like, "Oh, here you go," and I'm like, "That's actually the most useful thing that I've ever had."
Yeah, I do a lot of airbrush priming because up here in the north, I know you down south, you get all the sunshine and stuff. Up here, it's just rain. So spray priming is only really good up here for like a week in the summer. Um, so I do a lot of airbrush priming, and my one of those like hedgehog bases or whatever they're called, that fits in the spray booth perfectly. And like I say, I got a Lazy Susan that had some clips as well, and they're interchangeable. They'll both fit in quite well. And yeah, that whenever I'm doing some priming, that it's getting used.
And that's it. And I mean, there's other a lot of other things out there that that maybe even me and Chris haven't really thought about. And just if you have got a painter in your life, or you're looking at someone, you're getting someone else into the hobby from a hobby point of view. I mean, even paint stations. Like I don't. Again, I've got a permanent setup. I live alone with my two kids. I have my sort of sanctuary where it's got all my nerd stuff and it's got all my painting
Mm.
stuff. I can leave it there and it's a permanent setup. Um, but some people don't have that luxury. So having that sort of like portable paint station, I mean, TT Combat sell the MDF ones,
Mm-hmm.
Games Workshop sell them, Army Painters sell them. In fact,
I'm not even sure if Games Workshop do still sell the portable ones.
you need to understand it's been a very long time since I've
Yeah.
looked on the Games Workshop website for anything painting. But I'm pretty confident
Same.
if they make paint, like I'm 100% confident that Green Stuff World make one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
Like,
do everything.
yeah, I would put lots of money on that.
This one is targeted at the painters. It's the Masters brush soap. So I know before we started recording, you showed me
Mm.
that you've got some brush soap. The one I got, it was either a Christmas or a birthday present. Uh, Years ago, I lived in Leeds at this point, so however long ago that was. Um, I'm probably not even halfway through it. Really, I should use it more than I do. But like, there's enough brush soap in there that it'll last you a hell of a long time. Doesn't smell bad. It's just a
Mm.
nice soap. Just a bit of clean water. get the brush on it, you can leave it there to dry on the brush, and then some more water, and it just reactivates it. Take it off. I usually leave it on for a while to start the dry up. Not quite solid, but where you can feel that it's kind of becoming a bit more soapy again, like a bar. Great stuff there. Like I said, there's a bunch of different ones people do. I think Instar do a nice one, but the Masters brush soap, that's the one I got. It's good for oils and acrylics. So occasionally I'll dabble with oils, and yeah, it's always good to clean your brush.
I mean, my one is, what is it? It was called. Well, I've you can see where there was the name there, and I used that as like a channel. I think it was called like Da Vinci. I got it off Amazon. A couple of quid. I think it was about 2-3 quid. Now I bought that one myself, and then I bought some for my dad. So I gave some as a gift, and I got one that was good for oil paints as well, because my dad's old school. Like, he still uses oil paints. He's got a tube of oil paint that is older than me that he still uses. I think it's like a tube of like burnt sienna. And he obviously breaks it down with white spirit, and that's what he uses for like oil washes and skin. But yeah, it's older than me, and I think he told me the other day that he just started a new tube. So that's like at minimum 34 years that tube's been going. But it takes a toll on his brushes. So I bought him some, especially when he's dry brushing. Like, he uses it to clean his dry brushes more. But yeah, I gave it as a gift, and it's become a staple on his painting station now. And again, it's one of those things that you said, it's not, you don't really think about it until like you need it, and then when you've got it, you can't live without it. And it's again one of those things. I think a lot of people don't think about it, or they just sort of look at it and go, well, it's not really an expense. And I think that's kind of what I think this whole section is about, Chris. I think it's not necessarily it being expensive, it's just an expense that you wouldn't want to buy for yourself, but like if you were to get it as a gift, it'd become invaluable. Last one from me. Now I think you've got the same setup I've got. Let's talk lights quickly. I know that's a weird thing to say, but my painting lamp that I have over my table, it's got one of those day lamp. It's a day lamp bulb.
Yeah,
the one that's
so
obviously essentially it's a daylight bulb. So like, yeah, and I found. I mean, granted, I got mine off Facebook Marketplace because someone down the road from me was selling one. They were like a nail tech, and they gave it up, and then they had a lamp, and it was a daylight lamp, and I thought, I'll get in on that. But other companies do like these really fancy ones. Like, have you seen that one that Green Stuff World do?
Yes, I've seen.
Where it's like a big arch. I mean, that's a bit overkill for me, and I'm not even sure it will fit in my little sanctum.
Yeah.
Like that, you can see in the camera that that's a wall there. And then that's that, and I've got my shelf in there. That's it. That's all space I've got. That's about 2 feet. But I'm never going to fit the arch in there. But I've got one of these. My lamp. See if I can move the camera.
Yeah,
you can sort of see. I've got one of those sort of like.
You get a bit of movement on it.
Lamps. I've got like the weight. And then I've got like a weight. There's a weight up here that's holding it still. When I'm painting, it's about there. So what I do, and this is going to look really funny. So when I paint, I sort of like almost rest my head on it like that. So then I'm like, I can have the light on, and then I can be like, doing my little bits, and then I don't know why I've always rested my head on it, and it's just something I do. But I've found since using a daylight lamp, because before that, I used to just
The
have
warm
like a
white.
normal, um, yeah, like another lamp, and I found that when I would take my miniatures away from where I'm painting, I'd find that I was either missing bits or I'd not shaded bits correctly because the colour from the lamp
Yeah.
was skewing my vision.
Yeah, if you're using like
And
a,
since
a
having a
warm,
daylight lamp,
like a warm white bulb,
I found
then it's like everything you're looking at's got that yellow tint to it. So whereas you're using a daylight bulb, it's just a white light. It's like it'll either be daylight or cold white.
yeah. And I think again that's you can get. I mean that's a bulb. I mean you can get LED ones now that use like daylight or pure white. Again, they range anywhere from like probably like 10, 15
Well, the way
pounds.
my lighting setup is, I've got two lamps. One has a bit more maneuverability on it, and both of them are white bulbs. And then I've got a like a LED strip around it, because to explain my painting setup, it's a 2x4 Kallax unit stood upright, 2x4 Kallax unit on top of that tipped over 90 degrees, and then I've got I forget which one it's
Nice.
from IKEA though, a desk that fits in that space that it leaves. Then I've got my chair there, obviously, because I'm not standing while I'm painting. And around the two shelves, and then down across the bit of wall, I've got a LED strip. And if I'm on the PlayStation or just watching the telly, I can have it cycling through colours. But when it comes to painting, just click of a button on the remote, white, get even more light onto it, even better. It's not bright enough for me to just use that, but it gives me a really good splash of light that I don't get with just using the two lamps. So it's like it's the triple threat that I like.
And again, those LEDs strips that you can
Well,
get, they're not that
mine are
expensive.
very rare because I got mine
Um,
from Wilco.
because I've got that is very rare. I've got LEDs that go, but like an LED a sticky strip. I've got one that's powered by two AA batteries in my painting cabinet because I've got one of those Ditolf IKEA glass cabinets for my minis, and at the top I've got like a LED light that shines down on it, and it looks really nice. And then behind my TV, I've got one as well, so I can have like LED lights behind my TV.
They're just
But
good to
again,
have, aren't they?
they're just fun.
They're low power. They give good light.
Because I've got one of those. We're still on the subject of LED lights. It's fine. I've got one of those white photo boxes for when I take pictures of my minis, and they've got like that strip of LED white lights.
Yeah, I've got one like that as well. My last one is the Zested acrylic brush cleaner and reviver, and this stuff has kept some of my brushes from getting chucked out. It's like a lemony sort of smelling liquid. It's just like you chuck your brushes into it, leave
Nice.
it to work on the brush, clean it off with some water. See how that's going. It's good for getting right into the ferrule on the brush, because you don't want paint to be in that. And sometimes when I'm mixing paints up, it does get in there, and when I clean it off, I haven't cleaned it properly. This has, like I say, this has kept some of my brushes, keep them going. And then when I'm using that, that's like the nuclear option for cleaning your brush for me. I've got the Master's brush soap. And then if it needs it, the cleaner and reviver.
Mm.
Have you used any of the revivers?
No, well, so I feel free. I will take any heat and flack for what I'm about to say. White Spirit, I'll just get in with that. Like, if the soap won't do the job, it goes into some White Spirit, and it's just sort of like, well, I water it down a little bit. Like, I don't. It's not like I'm not just dipping it in the bottle of White Spirit and go hope for the best. It's I'll do some. If you imagine, like, I'll get like a bottle cap. I'd say like a sort of screw top, like about that sort of thickness. Like where you get on like a Coke bottle.
Yeah.
I'll put like one or two of them with White Spirit, and then I'll top it. I'll basically do like a mix of 1 to 4. So 1 White Spirit, and then a little bit of hot water, and then I'll just leave the brushes in there. And then like if that doesn't work, I'm like, well, you're becoming a dry brush now, so like that's it. And then once it no longer get used for a dry brush, it gets well, I say that like my brushes get a fair bit of life even after I don't use them, because I'll give them to my kids or my daughter mainly, so she can like use like shitty paints, and then so she'll use that brush for a little bit before it fully dies. Like it's almost getting like a rehomed brush before it finally goes off to the great paint pot in the sky. The paintbrush pot in the sky. But like again, if you're looking after your brushes, it's not a massive issue. But yeah, the nuclear option for me was always like white spirit and hot boiling water, and then hope for the best. But I should probably get some like reviver, because it might make my brushes last longer.
Well, this Zestet one, a lot of places you can get it from art supply shops, and there's a bunch of like your friendly gaming stores. Chances are they'll stock it as well, because Zestet's a really popular one that people use.
Well, I think talking about new things, getting new presents, but new and shiny, Chris. New and or shiny. You can have both.
Hey, well, I'm gonna go with my Purloined Puissance, the new team from
Yeah.
from the Diamond Oasis for Rumbleslam. I mean, this team's put the Riot on hold because it's just the brand new cat team. Consists of the Raging Rastani, who's this big old battle cat from He-Man. The Fat Cat, who is a fat cat, surprisingly enough. Rastani Trader, who carries a little genie's lamp. The Rastani Chronicler, who is this cool-looking Sphinx cat with a... there's only one little house cat in this team, and it's with the Chronicler.
Yep.
And not this one is like, she's not the best for fighting. She's definitely a control player's character. Yeah, she won't take a hit because surprisingly that's actually a weight 1 character. And then there's the Yarn Elemental,
which looks great, by the way.
Yeah, I think the Yarn Elemental and the Raging Rastani are an excellent team together. The Yarn Elemental and Raging Rastani lays down some heavy hits. Then Yarn Elemental is incredible at grappling. So get them to pick up and throw after Raging Rastani's did the business. And that's my duo from that team. AJ Lynx is one of the new superstars. Formerly one of the pieces of D8. And then she's moved over to Diamond Oasis. No prizes for who she's inspired by. I've got her pre-ordered. Cannot wait to get her. And then there's Strungles the Obliterator. Yes.
Oh, it's such a funny name.
Scrungles the Obliterator, the literal obliterating avatar of obliteration, has a fiery obliterating temper, though is more often than not just a bit hungry for obliteration. The description of Scrungles just keeps saying obliterate, and I love that. I live for it.
I'm here for it.
But yeah, awesome. Really leans heavy into the Egyptian look. Heavily inspired by that Dragon Ball Z character Beerus,
Mm.
who's like that whole kind of Egyptian cat god. Just yeah. So I know when I paint it, I'm going to be painting it purple rather than a flesh tone.
So for me, keeping on the TT Combat train again, just because I love Carnival. I love collecting Carnival. A couple of things that come out for pre-order. You've got the Now I apologise if I've botched this.
Sanguine Sin.
That's it. Sanguine Sin. They're on pre-order for the 28th of November. This is a guild subsect. It's more like it's adding more power if you like a House of Virtue gang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're a blood magic team for the guild.
So it is bringing some magic to the guild.
Much needed magic.
Yeah, historically they've not been a very magical force. I mean, realistically, you had Baba Yaga.
Mm-hmm. You had the Black Lantern as a magic denial.
Yeah, so he was a more like magic defense. He couldn't cast spells, but he could
just
defend
had like an aura of denial around him.
Yeah, so like you could dispel. That's all he could do. So yeah, the Harlots bring a nice, well-needed boost of magic to the guild.
These pair really well with a recent release as well, the Ladies of the Night. They're
Very much so.
Another blood magic team.
And obviously, me being privy to a certain level of information and certain lore ideas that get brought out, it's going to very nicely lead on to the next supplemental book that will be brought out. I want to say in about 2-3 years. So, from my understanding, there's enough stuff in Carnival in the background that they could. It's a lot. There's a long game being played here. The Sanguine Sin, again, you can see the models quality just getting better and better and better at every release that they bring out, and that's not just with Carnival. That's just across the board, like the Drop Fleet stuff, Drop Zone stuff, Rumbleslam, everything. They're either like really pushing the boundary of what's available to them in their design, and what's available at the real boundary of like what the medium can allow. And the sort of poses that they do, and it's not affecting the structural integrity of it, and you're not losing any. The details are fantastic, and some like are really subtle, but they're not, as we've discussed before. It's not like a overly like unneedless detail, like you said with the Esches. Like there's things that you didn't really need that. That was just unnecessary.
Well, the TT community's
yes,
picking up pace.
Yes, it is. If you're interested in Rumbleslam and you want to get a bit more of your teeth into a bit of lore, one of my long-time TT agent buddies and I'd say quite a close friend, Ben is doing star spotlights on the more sort of underutilized the star wrestlers. Because the first one he did was the Dolomite Kid. He's done one for Mythos. And it's basically a lot of the Gen 1s. Also, I will say this as well. If you remember years ago, during the lockdowns, me and Ben wrote the Rookies Handbook. So that was more of like your season 1 teams, if you want to call them that. We're now starting work on the season 2 Rookies Handbook. That's going to cover more of the things that have come out since really anything post Lords of the Ring. That's coming out. I just want to throw that in there for new and shiny because it is new.
There's Purloin Pewson's build guide available on the TT community page as well, written by this guy.
Oh, there's also TT Combat white boxes. They're coming back. And the one I like more is the Guiadecha Warehouse white box. So that white box, the 3 buildings they gave out was the Guiadecha Warehouse, Paddle Boat, and something else. It's gone. It has gone, and that's frustrated me. But I love white boxes just because you get a lot of terrain for a very, very small price. There it is. Where is it? Yeah, the Guiadecha Warehouse. There's a new fountain miniature, which looks very nice. Long time coming, I think. And you get a Doctor's Paddle Boat. With a Doctor's Paddle Boat, my dad, if you've been to any of the events with TT Combat, the Expo, Salute, you'll have seen my dad's Doctor's Paddle Boat with the blue lights and all the sails done on it. He will, at some point, be doing a guide on the TT community about how he's doing the rigging for his ships, and how to make your ships look more ship-like rather than ships with MDF bits on them. So watch this space. Probably won't be until next year now, but watch this space. Other than that, obviously the new Dungeon Masters Guide, 2024 Dungeon Masters Guide is out. That's now out fully. That came out, I want to say a week ago, 2 weeks ago. But obviously we've not recorded for a long time, so there's going to be a big void in stuff. We could be like, oh, no, that came out 2 weeks ago. Yeah, we know. We just haven't spoke about it. But I've been getting into D&D a lot. It's just because my daughter's playing with me. I'm playing with my daughter with it. So it's so she talks to me about it, and she wants to get some of those figures, and I'm just like, I've got enough stuff to paint. I don't need any more.
That's when you just put the figures in front of her and go, right, there's some paints.
You want them?
Go on. And
it's only a matter of time, actually. Like I'm slowly. I think give it another year. Get the painting claws into her. My plan is, and this is how I sell things at the expos, get your kids into miniature painting and they'll never have money for drugs.
So that's some good advice.
I think, and you know what? You see it in a couple of parents' face and they're like, it's not as... And it's just like, because it's not like he's going to have friends. He's not going to have friends to go out drinking with. Oh, that just sounded really bad. But
it's true though.
Apologies for the long episode. Me and Chris haven't had a gas in a while.
And this will be the last episode of the year.
But we'll be back in 2025.
Pow!
Wah.
Yeah, December's going to be a bit hectic for us both with work. So I'll be on earlier start times as well. So recording in the evenings is not going to be an option. So that's why we've went quite heavy with the Christmas theme on this, even though it's December, even though it's November, and I
haven't even got the tree up yet.
Good, because it's not Christmas yet.
Exactly, yeah, it's not
it's
December.
November. I haven't done any Christmas shopping yet. Yeah, so we'll be on a slight hiatus while we get Christmas out the way, and then we'll be back in the new year.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Have a crazy Kwanzaa and a solemn and dignified Ramadan.
Thanks for joining us on the Tippy Cast, and if you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow us.
And if you listen to us on YouTube, why not drop us a like and subscribe? And weigh in with your thoughts on what we've mentioned, missed, or something for us to look at for the next episode in the comments below.
And it's a goodbye from him.
And it's a goodbye from me.